I know you have been waiting for just the right electric car, one that is really beautiful and luxurious and feels good inside, that has a decent range, that has a decent amount of power, and that has a third row that can seat 6 or 7 passengers. This is the car you've been waiting for. This is the Volvo EX90. We just spent the day driving around Southern California in the Volvo EX90. We went to the mountains, we went to the beach, we went up to an elevation, we came back down, and we put this car and we drove it on some twisty, windy roads. It was really fun. I'm gonna show you what that test drive was like. I'm also going to show you what the interior of this car is all about, how to use the multimedia system. We're gonna measure for kids' car seats in the center row, and I'm gonna show you what the third row is like. This is all that you need to know about the Volvo EX90. The Volvo EX90 comes in 2 trims, and there are 2 sub-trims within each one. There's the twin motor, and there's the twin motor performance. 402 horsepower versus 510 horsepower, just under $80,000 and just under $90,000. Within each of those trims, the twin motor and the twin motor performance, you can get one of 2 packages. One has almost everything, and then the second package, which bumps up the price a little bit, also bumps up the luxury. Whichever trim you choose, you get dual motors, 308-mile range, and all-wheel drive. Be sure to follow along on our social channels. Go to A Girl's Guide to Cars for more information on this car, other electric cars, and all things 3-row SUVs. Be sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube, and when you see a video pop up right here, click on it. We put that here for you because we think you're gonna like it. The Volvo EX90 comes in at 198 inches. It's actually 3 inches longer than the Volvo XC90, which everyone knows as Volvo's flagship 3-row SUV. You'll see on the rear there's the EX90 badge, and it says Twin Performance next to that. That's our trim, and that is the top of the line $90,000-ish trim. On the side, you'll see on the driver's side, there is the charge port and the flush door handles. They pop out when the car is unlocked. When it's driving or it's locked, the cars fold in flush to the body of the car. And then notice the wheels. These are not only beautiful wheels, but notice that they have gloss and metal panels, and that they're almost flush to the edge of the wheel. That's because they're aerodynamic. They're designed to deflect the air and not let air flow in through the wheels, and that increases the efficiency of the battery. On the front, you'll notice the headlights. Volvo calls these Thor's hammer headlights, and then there are daytime running lights right below. You'll see the Volvo badge on the front. There are cameras and sensors in that badge. And then at the top of the Volvo, just above the windshield, there is a LIDAR panel. So you'll see that panel has a bunch of sensors in it that helps it with things like lane keep assist and lane change assist. Below that, there's another panel of cameras for adaptive cruise control. The color of the car that we're driving is called Sand. It's a really beautiful ceramic beige. It is glossy, but it's not metallic flaked. It has a really elegant color. So we are now on the twisty, windy roads of around Lake Elsinore, California. And unfortunately, we have cars in front of us, but I'm going to try to hang back. But I want to give you guys a little bit of an example of what this car is like. I'll get some acceleration in on a fun, windy, twisty road. And are we in performance mode?
Yes.
We're in performance mode. So there's 2 different modes. There's regular and there's performance. Are those the only drive modes? And then we can do like regenerative. So that's it. If you're in performance mode, you're in all-wheel drive all the time. Otherwise, you're in front-wheel drive unless the system senses that you need traction on all 4 wheels, and then it automatically powers the rear motor to give you rear-wheel drive as well. I hope you guys can see this beautiful, you might think it's the Mediterranean, but it's not. It's actually Southern California. It's quite beautiful out there today. And it's looking much more like it should, like everything's kind of brown and dry, which is what we're used to in the summer. It's been unusually green the last couple of years, but it's starting to look more California-esque. What did you think of the drive this morning, Miriam?
I liked it. I thought it was good. I think they picked a good kind of balance of, you know, kind of twisty mountain roads like this with a bit of urban driving and a bit of suburban driving and freeway.
We have the performance steering, so it's stiffer steering and stiffer suspension. I'm not sure I really notice a difference.
The suspension, you can feel more.
Do you feel a difference?
From the road, yeah, as a passenger even.
Yeah.
But it's less. You know, it's still comfortable, but it's a little less.
You feel more feedback from the road. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it.
I like it.
So when it's not firm, when you have it in just regular, normal,
it's very comfortable.
It's very comfortable, kind of floaty, a little floatier. And then when you have it in stiff, it's a stiff suspension. So you're going to feel every sharp curve in the road. Inside the Volvo EX90, everything's a little different. First of all, this is our key. So this is just a phone. It's an iPhone. You can use any smartphone, and you can use this as a key. So I use this to unlock the car and access it. And once I put it right here, the system will recognize it, and I can actually start and drive the car without an actual key fob or traditional key fob. The next thing I'm going to show you is this, and that is, there is the perfect place right here to stow a handbag. This is actually quite a large space, and I could put a much bigger handbag here if I wanted to. I could also plug in my other phone, because I do have another phone. I could plug in my other phone if I wanted to plug it into the USB port, or I could leave a computer or a tablet, something like that there. Then here's the next thing that's unusual. To start and drive the car, all I do is put my foot on the brake and put it into gear. That's it. The gear selector is right here. Now I'm in drive and I put it back in park. The windshield wipers and turn signal are over here on the left side, and we have some controls here. The steering wheel is covered in faux leather, leatherette, that is actually a sustainable and renewable material. The driver display is here. It's attached to the steering wheel, so as you adjust the steering wheel up or down, you'll see that the driver display moves. And so the steering wheel never obscures the driver display because it's attached to the steering wheel. Then we have our driver assist features here, and this little button that allows you to customize the driver display, what you see in the driver display. And over here are our entertainment functions. There is one button in here, one dial in this car, and it's right here, and it's a button to turn on or off the audio system and a volume dial. And that literally is the only button in this entire car. Everything else is on this really large touchscreen. It has the look and feel of a large tablet, but it doesn't really work that way. Let me show you what that looks like. The multimedia screen is very large. Most of this is map, but you can also turn on your apps if you want to see the different apps that are here. If you want to use, say, your Spotify or set up the sound. If you're not driving, you can watch YouTube. And then here's your Google Assistant, which you can tap, or you can just say, "Hey Google," and it shows up and asks how it can help, which is pretty great. Also, if you tap the icon for the car, this is how you turn on performance all-wheel drive. This is probably the place you want to be for more fun driving and more responsive driving. You can turn on or off the lane keep assist, and you can set your one pedal drive. So if you want it to be the most efficient, you would have it on. If you wanted to decide when it's most efficient, you can turn it on auto, or you can actually just turn it off. I prefer to have it on, so that's where I will leave it. This is also where you'll find the glove box. So it's interesting because you might not even know or think that there's a glove box. It's not very obvious, but you tap that button and there you go. Here on this floating center console, we have a wireless phone charger. There's also, and I can feel it's a cooling wireless charger. There are vents here to keep your phone from overheating. And this is where, if you're using the phone as key, you should keep it here because this is where the car will best sense it. There are cup holders here, holds my nice large bottle, but a Stanley cup will probably fit. Something that's really large is probably not going to fit there. If you don't want to look at the cup holders, you can close them like that. There's this retractable door there. And then I want you to notice the material here. This actually is reclaimed sustainable wood, and there's the open pore wood here surrounded with a metal surround, and then this sort of leatherette here on the dashboard. It's on the door panels. It's really beautiful. It's also sustainable. It is made from reclaimed and renewable materials, so it's not leading to deforestation in order to produce these materials. I'll also point you to the Bowers & Wilkins sound system. So you can see these really beautiful speaker covers. These are custom made for Volvo to go into the EX90. The last thing I'll point you to is this really beautiful panoramic sunroof. There is not a screen that covers this, but it is tinted, and you can actually kind of feel it's got sort of a coating on the inside that you can feel. So it keeps, even though we are sitting in bright sun and I can feel this, it's hot, but it's not hot in this car. Yes, we're running the air conditioning, but it is not super hot in this car, which is a really nice detail. This is a really important panel in the Volvo EX90. So first of all, here is where you can lock or unlock the doors. This, if this is lit here, it's going to control the front windows. So you see I'll roll down the window or put it back up. And then when this is not lit, it controls the rear windows. The seats in the Volvo EX90 are really beautiful. Now we are in the top of the line, so we're in the twin motor performance Ultimum. We're in the top of the line model. So maybe these seats are a little more special, but these seats are really beautiful. I want you to notice this perforated headrest and then dual color leatherette. There's even contrasting trim. It's quilted here. There is a thigh extender here. What you won't see are perforations, and that's because these seats are heated, but they are not vented or cooled. So let's talk about this headrest, because I will say I've been putting my head against it all day. It's really beautiful, but it also sounds really good. There's a speaker right here. So when I'm here either talking on the phone or just listening to music, that sound is coming right into my ears. That also means that I can turn down the speakers in the rest of the car. So if somebody in the back seat is sleeping, they don't have to listen to my music. And then there's this, the seat adjustment. And it's pretty important because massaging seats are on this car. So there is a little block on the side of the front seats, and you can use that to position the seat forward or back. You can move it up or you can move it down. And if you push the button in the middle, you get this, massage seats. So you can actually use this to adjust, or you can use this to turn on your massaging seat. Program will run for 20 minutes, and I promise you after 20 minutes, you'll want to turn it back on. It's really good. Let's go see how the back seat is set up for child passenger car seats and passenger comfort. So what is it like in the second row in the Volvo EX90? Well, let's talk about that. So first of all, this is pretty comfortable. This seat is set for me, and I'm 5'8", so I have a fair amount of leg room here. I will point out that this is a totally flat floor, which means that if there is someone sitting in the center seat, their feet are not up on a hump, but they do have some place to put their feet, which is a nice detail. Center row passengers have a lot of amenities here. We have heated rear seats, we have climate control, there are vents here, there are 2 USB ports here, we have map pockets right here, there are air vents, we've got 4 air vents back here, 2 here and then 1 on either side of the door. And then we have this, there is a very nice pull down armrest with cup holders right there, so we can fit water bottles or coffee cups in there. There are 4 full sets of child passenger car seat latches in this car, and then there's a tether here. So you've got 5 upper tethers, but 4 sets of lower latches, which is pretty stellar for a car this size. And what that means is you have a lot of flexibility in where you put your kids' car seats. So let's talk about how you might configure them. So first of all, this center bench is actually all 3 seats move individually forward and back. So the center seat does, and so does the outboard seat. Let's measure and see how well these seats are set up for child passenger car seats. So this is set for me, I'm 5'8", seat back to seat back, 29 inches. and this seat is all the way back. 29 inches is the most. So if you're taller than 5'8", to put a rear-facing child passenger car seat behind a passenger who's 5'8", that's going to be a challenge. So if you're going to do 2 rear-facing child passenger car seats, probably the center and the passenger side is where you want to do them. So how well will child passenger car seats fit on these seats, and can you fit 3 across? So let's look at these measurements. So we've got 18 inches here. This one, we've got 14 inches between seat belts. So from here to here is 14 inches. That's a really good measure for a child passenger car seat, and then 18 inches here. Can you get 3 across? The answer is probably, if you have slender enough child passenger car seats. So this is the 6-seater, and I'm gonna hop in here because I wanna show you guys what this interior is like. So we have captain's chairs here, and then we have the 3rd row there. But there's a couple of cool things that you get in the captain's chairs that we didn't have. So first of all, we don't have this in the bench. We have these little cup holders that pop right out here. And look, there's even like some pretty detail in there. And then there is this. So this was a nice little spot where I was able to just toss my phone just like that. But it's more than just a place to toss your phone, because it also is a cup holder. How clever is that? I love this flat floor here. And then there is this tunnel back to the 3rd row. This is a much more comfortable setup if you don't need the center row bench. Now let's talk about the 3rd row. So this is where it's going to be a squeeze, especially if you go for the center row bench, because the 3rd row is a convenience row. It's not huge. Without captain's chairs, it's going to be tough for daily use, even for small passengers. Let me show you what it takes to get in there. First thing I'm going to do though, because I won't fit back there unless I move the center row seats up. To get into the 3rd row, there is a tab on the shoulder of the seat, and you just pull that tab and the seat slides and tilts forward. You may be able to do this with a forward-facing child passenger car seat installed. If that's your goal, be sure to try it out with your seat. And then let's climb into the 3rd row. So now I did move these seats forward. And let's see if I can fit. So I can fit back here, but I'm going to say just barely. This seat, I moved forward into sort of the center position, and my knee is touching the seat back. Now, what else do we have back here? I will say there are 2 critical things. There are air vents back here. So passengers in the 3rd row do have air vents, and there are cup holders. There are dome lights here. There are 2 USB-C ports. There's one on either side. So 5th graders, yay. Moms, not so much in the 3rd row. As a convenience row, it's great. It also makes for great cargo space. And I want to show you, there's a little bit of a luxury when it comes to cargo space in the Volvo EX90. So now I slide and tilt that forward, and the big challenge is getting out. But let's see, can I do it? I think I can do it. Yes, it's going to be easier if you're a 5th grader. So you do get a proximity key, and you can open it without tapping the release, but the release is right here above the license plate. Inside you'll see there's a fair amount of cargo space, but I want to show you a few things inside here. Come here. So first of all, let me move our stuff around. Rear seat passengers, this is a really good place to see what amenities rear seat passengers have. So there are vents on either of the pillars. So you'll see air vents there. There's a cup holder here, and then there are USB-C ports. So rear seat passengers who fit back here are going to be very happy once they're back here, and then of course we have seat belts. You can put the seats down from the center, or you can put the seats down here by pressing these buttons. There, and these buttons actually put the seats up or down, so you can do it from either place. And then you can use these buttons to raise or lower the rear end of the car. It uses the air suspension to actually lower it a few inches. This is great for a dog that maybe has shorter legs to get in and out, or if you just want to lower it for loading things in, or if you have short people who want to tailgate and it's harder for them to get up into the cargo area, you can lower it for them. Then I want to show you what's under the cargo floor. Come here. So we have this really nice large cargo area. In fact, Volvo added this nice bin. You could put things like water bottles or something like that in here so you don't have to hear them rolling around in the back of the car under the cargo floor while you're driving. And then you could leave some things in here. Leave your beach towels, leave your beach chairs, leave your emergency kit, something like that. And then there is this. And you pull this, and this unlocks the power door, which if your car completely runs out of power and none of the electrical components are working, pull that, and then that will unlock this so you can reach the power port. There is this really cool thing in here. If you want to know how big the cargo area is, there's actually a graphic here that says, will it fit? So you can see these items here, and you can see the dimensions here. So actually, if you have a big box or a package that you need to put in the cargo area, that's how you know if it will fit. There is a frunk on this car, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. Of course, it's under the hood. It is also latched, so you're going to have to open it as you would any other hood. And here it is. So it's not super big, and unlike some others, it doesn't have a ton of space. You're not going to put your cooler in here, but come here, let me show you what the space looks like. You do have a large compartment here, and then you have a couple of spaces on either side that might be convenient for stowing a charge cord. So if you're heading out of town and you want to have a charge cord for charging at a hotel or someplace that's not a public charger, bring your cord, you can stow it right there, and then you still have a little extra space for an emergency kit or something like that.
And you know, it's got all the luxury, like it drives really well. It can perform in this performance modes. It has, you know, it's practical, it's big, it's spacious, it's got space-free stuff in the back if you don't use the third row especially. And then he's got the technology. This is all Google based, which is really nice. It's one of the better
This is nice,
systems.
and we have been through quite a few zones today with no cell phone service, and the maps have been fine. It didn't flip out on us.
Super comfy, and you know, you expect that. This is starts at like about 80,000, 89, something like that. So it's, you know, depending on the trim models, you can go up to like almost 100K. So you expect some comfort. It has strangely no ventilated seats, but massage is going on right now, and it's very, very nice. So other than that, it's got that Volvo interior. This is a Google-based infotainment system, Google Automotive. It's much better than what I've used in the past on the Volvo XC40 and C40 and the Polestar 2. So this is a next generation. It's definitely improved. It's more responsive. It's a bit more thoughtful in the way the interface is laid out, and but it has all the goodness of being basically an iPad, and properly so, like with its own internet connection.
The Volvo EX90 is priced from just under $80,000 to just over $90,000, and there's good news and bad news in that. The good news is the base model, just under $80,000, may qualify for $7,500 federal tax incentive. That's because it's built in South Carolina, and that's a stipulation of that regulation. The not so good news is there's a threshold of $80,000, which means if you spend more than $80,000 on this car, you don't qualify for that federal tax incentive. Still, if a 3-row all-electric SUV that is luxurious on the inside and really elegant on the outside is on your wish list, then the Volvo EX90 should be on your shopping list.